Okay, hi. Welcome to the first of the podcast of Macaw Ayahuasca Retreats. I'm gonna be recording myself, and yeah, I'm glad you're here. This is a podcast in which I want to be giving you tips or talking about posts that I'm doing, and everything goes around ayahuasca ceremonies, ayahuasca retreats, and hoping to give you some tips, some knowledge that you can use to prepare, to experience, and to integrate your ayahuasca experiences. If by me talking you feel connected, you feel the call of ayahuasca, we have the service, which is our main service. It is ayahuasca retreats here in Medellin, Colombia, with certificate shamans and certificated shamans. And as you're gonna be seeing, I'm not gonna edit anything, I'm not gonna be adjusting, because I want you to feel if you're connected with me. Also, this is gonna be my first podcast, and I know I'm gonna be getting better at talking while I make more and while I'm doing this day by day. But if you feel connected with me, with my voice, with my energy, well, I'm like the projection of also the shamans. So that means that the whole experience you're gonna be living is gonna be very much like. And today I'm gonna be talking about my first post, which is just a blank image, saying something like, "For ayahuasca, prepare, experience, and integrate." I'm recording this before posting, so maybe I'm gonna be doing some changes to the post, but it's gonna be much like it. And I want you to understand why we think that is the method. Our whole process and our whole system, so to say, because we know, and after all these years of preparing people experience ayahuasca ourselves, going with people and guiding them through their ayahuasca experiences and then helping them integrate, we have come up with with like that system or that method. It doesn't mean it is the only one, but I think that there is a myth with ayahuasca that it has been very like airy or esoteric, and yeah, it is. It also has that part, and I think that is well covered in the world. But I want to be talking about something much more, so to say, pragmatic. And this is like a mission I have. I have seen it in my ayahuasca experience. I came here to integrate two separate worlds, or so to say separate, because they're not. And I want to be making it by taking like the pragmatic thinking, which is very like American-like and very modern or Occidental world-like, and also taking the ayahuasca, which is a very ancestral and very spiritual and a whole different world. So let's get to it. Why do we think this is the method? First is because it is what you experience every time. Every time I do experience this, I experience this with my wife, with the people that I guide, and so on. There are like these steps, and let's say that ayahuasca is like a review of your life, or a review of life, or like a mirror of life. And then that means that when I'm talking about this is a process of everything that is important in life, even small things or big things, goes through the same steps. First, you prepare for it, or you can prepare for it, so to say, because most people don't prepare for big things, and then they don't have control when they experience it, and then they don't integrate or they don't learn, so they don't make changes in their life, and they keep repeating the same mistakes, so they keep living the same life. It's like Einstein says, madness is doing the same and expecting a different outcome. So yeah, the first step will be prepare. How do we prepare for ayahuasca? People know a lot about the physical part, the diet, and everything, and then there's like no pornography, no sex for the last weeks, and then no alcohol. Yeah, that will be covered, and we're gonna be sending you a document when you get into it, or people are sending that, or you can read it in a blog of ayahuasca, or the shaman is gonna also tell you. That is like common knowledge around ayahuasca, but that is very, very important part. Now, what do they not tell you? The part about your mind, the purpose, the intention. Intention is like, I like to make like an example or like an analogy in which intentions has to do a lot with your roots, the roots you have to the ground. Ayahuasca is like sometimes, and for some people and for me and much of the time, is so powerful. That is like the forces of nature. So sometimes it is so powerful, and at least the medicine that my shamans give is not mild or anything like that. It is strong, and people like you and me are gonna need a lot of ayahuasca. I needed a lot of ayahuasca at first because I was very, very deep in my mind, in my ego. So if you're gonna need it, you're gonna feel it, and if you don't need it, then the shaman is gonna give you a little bit less, and you're still gonna feel it, and it feels like a hurricane. So what is a hurricane for a tree that doesn't have any roots? It's death. It is very traumatic. You lose all your leaves, all your wood, you lose everything. You may even like not even know what happened and be in another place and be lost after an experience that is supposed to make you find yourself. What is a hurricane to a very strong tree that has strong roots? Well, it may move you things that you don't need, leaves that weren't supposed to be there anyways. So it is gonna help you clean, so to say, but you're not gonna be so moved, and you're not gonna be in a whole different place, and you're not gonna be lost, but you're gonna be found, because intentions and the roots are gonna keep you in place. And in my experience, ayahuasca always answers your clear intentions. When you have intentions that come from the ego or are not clear, it's not gonna answer it. When you have very clear intentions that you have reviewed and checked again and written again, and you're clear about them, it always responds them. And this is the best way to do this is with what I call high expectations, not dreams or requests, because sometimes like a dream that you want with ayahuasca is that a dream. A dream doesn't happen in earth, but when you have high expectations about a ceremony, it's like asking yourself, okay, let's say that in 6 months your ayahuasca experience was everything you wanted, was the answer to all your questions, was the solution to all of your problems. How does your life changes? What aspects of your life changes, and how do they change? And I want you to write them with high expectations, because that will make two things. One, it's gonna be make you very clear, and you're gonna be very clear with ayahuasca. Then, and the other part is that it's gonna make you be committed to the process. When ayahuasca comes, and when the visions come, or when the cleaning comes in the experience, strength is gonna be asked from you. You're gonna be to hold up, to be able to stand your ground, and high expectations and high north and a clear goal is gonna help you do exactly that. That's the first part, preparation. We cover much more, but this is like a quick way to experience to explain preparation. Now, experience. What do I recommend to people? And this is something we have covered, so I don't talk about it too much when people get to us, because it is already covered. But I want to tell you because maybe you're not gonna do it with us. And this is very important and very undervalued thing. Michael Pollan, I don't know if you know him, but he has very famous books and a Netflix series about ayahuasca also, or covering a little bit about ayahuasca, and he has podcasts, and so he's very famous. And he says that there is like a common ground that people have found with psychedelics and with ayahuasca. It is the best way to do it is set and setting. So you set yourself by preparing yourself. Setting is where you do it. So people think that ayahuasca is very like indigenous, so it doesn't have papers or so, but it does have. In countries like Colombia, we have a law that certifies people or shamans to give the medicine, to be able to give it. And it is given by the indigenous communities, which have thousands of years of knowledge. So the other thing that you have to have in mind here is that there's like an Amazonian or indigenous knowledge or science, and this is also said by Graham Hancock, another very famous historian right now. And he said once, I once heard from him like the two plants that are combined in the ayahuasca wine is almost impossible to find without science. And this was found 1,000 years ago. So yeah, there is a science, there are thousands of years of knowledge, and you're gonna see it in the shaman, especially when you drink the ayahuasca. You're gonna see a lot of things that you don't understand, but that you see their power. And this is seen in certified shamans. If the shaman is not certified, it's like flipping a coin. It doesn't mean it's gonna be bad, but it means it's like flying with a pilot that doesn't have a license. Do you want that? Do you want an airline that has, maybe the pilot's gonna have a certificate, maybe he knows how to fly? No, you want your airline to always have a pilot that is capable of doing, that has been checked, that has their medical license, that has his flying license, that has done his simulator hours, and that has the corresponding hours to be the captain, and also a co-pilot that is also eligible for it. You want that in your flight. So why won't you want that with your ayahuasca experience or with your psychedelic experience? So there is a way to know, and it is with the shaman certificate. Here in Colombia we have one. The shamans with which I have worked for the last years have certificate, each of them, and it is very good to know. That is the setting. Also, what is the place, how is like everything. You have to know if it's gonna be given to you like in a building in the middle of a city, or if it is gonna be given to you in a natural place, which is what I recommend. It doesn't have to be the middle of the jungle. I mean, not all the people have the opportunity to go to the jungle and do everything as planned, and it doesn't assure you when it's in the jungle that the shaman is going to be prepared for it also. It can be anywhere. We do it here in Medellin, and like the place where you're going to be, the kind of medicine that has been given there for years, the person is going to give in you, and yeah, that is like the experience. It's going to be much more in the surface, but that is what you can see before you can go. And the last part is the integration. And here comes, I mean, this is the most important part, but it doesn't do any good if you don't prepare and if you have a bad experience, how much you know about integration, because yeah, what are you going to integrate about a hurricane that almost killed you? You won't remember, you're going to be blacked out the whole experience, and you won't have anything to integrate really with your mind, which is what you can control. We're talking here about what you can control. Of course, ayahuasca always works in you, and even if you had an experience where you don't remember anything or that it was hell, it doesn't matter. It did work, and it does work in your body and so, but let's talk about integration. Any ayahuasca experience, when you are prepared and when you do it correctly in the experience, can be integrated, and can be integrated better if you do it consciously than if you just go back to your routine and so, because it can be a very strong, like a hard landing and a very rough landing if you don't integrate. And if you drink ayahuasca on Saturday and then on Monday, so to say, you go to your routine, because it is gonna be, I mean, what you see in ayahuasca is something that is not seen in your office or in your routine at in your house, or by cleaning your dishes. No, it is something that is much more bigger, and that has a very, very strong energy. So most people, what they experience and what happens for the first days, which are the most important, because psychedelic experience and ayahuasca experience is like a dream. When you dream something that is very important for you, or that had a very strong feeling, you at 6 a.m. you think you're gonna remember. So you don't write anything down and you say, yeah, I'm gonna remember. But then at 12 in the afternoon, you don't remember, you don't know who was there or how it was, and let's not even talk about details. So the first days are very important. Ayahuasca works mainly with the plexus and with heart, but yeah, I mean, it works in your body. It has a lot of repercussions in your body, and it helps a lot. But let's be clear, all the things you hear, you see, all the things you learn are in your mind. And what happens mostly is that people want to make it part of their life, so they want to bring it down to their body, or they want to write it down, but their mind goes so fast, or they took so much time to write it down that they have forgotten it. Or, as I was saying, their mind is going so fast that you're not even capable of painting it or writing it down. So what I recommend for people is record yourself. Talk to people that want to talk about it, because you cannot tell this to your coworker that doesn't care about ayahuasca and has fear about it. But you need to be talking about it. Every time you talk about it, you're painting like the canvas. You're painting the details and you're integrating and you're downloading it. Why? Because the throat chakra, or your throat, your voice, is the closest chakra, so to say, or I don't know how else to say this, but this is also like a scientific, or like another science, which is the chakras, or the centers of your body, and the closest one to your mind is your throat, and that is the first one that is below it. So you want to go below, you want to go from your mind below your mind, so your throat, you want to be talking it to as much people as you can, or record yourself as much as you can. And this is why we have an integration session, because it helps people talk about visions with people that understand it. But this is why we sit down, and you could tell me how you saw your mom doing something that is completely unthinkable, but I'm gonna understand it because I have seen it myself, or I have seen something similar. So I can help, not only that I can help interpret your vision, but I can help you talk about your vision. You are the one that is going to interpret, and the best way is by talking. And after talking, and once you have covered all your story, because there comes a time when you are going to tell the story and you know you're just repeating the story. Now you have covered all the details. You're not getting any new epiphanies by talking, but in the first days, just by talking, you're gonna get more epiphanies, even more than the ones you had in the experience. It's not gonna be only downloading, but also getting new paths and new insights. After you've covered all the insights, this is like a feeling you have finished recording yourself or telling the story. When you're finished, now it's time to integrate. And my best advice here is, how do you bring things down to your body? Habits. It's just, if you can only commit to one thing that you're gonna be doing every day, even if it is 5 minutes, but it is you doing something that you saw in ayahuasca every day. And that is when transformation really comes to reality. If you don't do that, ayahuasca is just gonna be like a vision you had, and an experience, and you can tell your friends that you tried ayahuasca. But when you integrate it, you make it part of your life, one step at a time. And when you have integrated the first insight, then you can move to the next one. You can prioritize. The best way I do this is I get an Excel sheet. I put I write like the dates from now to 3 months from now, and every day I feel it. Did I do something about that insight? Okay, and it has 3 columns: date, was it done, and notes. And every day you feel it. It takes you 1 minute or 2, maybe. You write down, okay, today the 4th of August. Did I do it? Yes. Okay, notes. And I write down, okay, I learned that this helped, or this is not working, but I do it every day. And you put the things to the fire. If it's cold, it's gonna stand the test. If it's not, then not. So those are the 3 steps. I hope this has helped you, and I hope to hear from you, and let me know if I can help you. Bye.